you have to take care of your recovery and your addiction before you can ever think about like taking care of anyone else.
You got to be selfish to be selfless.
Yeah.
Dang, man. Clip that.
That's the intro. That's the intro part.
I
Right?
felt that one. I ain't
Yeah.
gonna lie.
Was that off the cuff or you
Off the
always
cuff,
say that?
Out the top
Okay.
of my head. I ain't even gonna lie to you.
From my 90s, turn me to a superhero, yeah.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Athletic Aesthetic Podcast. This is Vinny. I'm here with my boy Trey. And we're here with episode 17 of the podcast, dude. I feel like it was just yesterday I launched episode 1, man. And your second official co-hosting episode is here.
Feels good, man. I feel like I'm actually getting good at this stuff, man.
Getting all right? Yeah, you getting the groove?
A little bit, groove in it.
It's a craft, dude. I feel like I'm still trying to, I'm definitely still trying to figure out how to host a podcast. Like it's totally different from public speaking. It's different from, just being in front of a camera and knowing like, there's no like cut do-over kind of thing.
Like you just gotta roll with it. Like you're almost live and doing it. You feel me?
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think you're doing great, dude. I think that, I'm proud of you, man.
Oh,
well
thank you,
done
man.
so far.
It makes me feel good, buddy.
Makes me
Can I
feel
get
good. Yeah. But we have a special episode today.
Very special.
Joe Delsardo, the Pitt legend. If you remember early 2000s Pitt football, Tyler Pelko era, he was like a do-it-all receiver for the Panthers. He had an incredible sophomore year. If you're from Pittsburgh, you remember his success at Seton LaSalle, played with, Bruce Gradkowski, who went on to have a great college career, played for the Steelers for a while. Just a local legend, to be honest. And, the guy's been through a lot that I actually recently learned about, and we get into a lot of that here on the episode, just with his, his struggle with drug and addiction. And, he really opens up about that, which was an incredible conversation for anybody, man. Doesn't matter if you struggle with drugs, alcohol, or whatever it is. We all have things that we, have to overcome and get through in life. And he's been through a lot, and his wisdom and insight's really good. So I was excited to have him on.
Yeah, he seems like a really cool dude, man. He seems like he has been through a lot, and he's definitely overcome a lot. So I'm looking forward to sitting down with him and kind of just picking his brain a little bit and having some fun.
Yeah. And then, so some housekeeping things before we jump into the episode. Just for you guys that are here, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. We launched a new Instagram and TikTok, everything at Athletic Aesthetic Pod. I actually had a little issue this week with my Instagram. I don't know if anybody saw it, bro. I put my whole ID as my profile picture.
And
Did
dude
see
was
this?
shook. I don't blame you.
I was so nervous.
It had everything on there.
I didn't know what was happening. Instagram hit me with, hey, you're approved to be verified. And I was like, damn, I'm going to get a blue check. Then, so I fill out all the stuff, and it's like, yeah, you got to pay $15 a month for this. And I was like, what the, like, this is like the Twitter blue check. So then I was like, at that point, I was like, I already filled out all this stuff. Let me just see what this does. And I hit accept. Bro, they uploaded, I must have filled it out wrong. They uploaded my whole ID as my profile picture.
Like, how you messed that up, dude?
And I had a post running with David Allen, like a collab post. So people are like on his page, like clicking on my page, and they just see my address. They saw I'm an organ donor, and just bro, I was freaking out. So.
I can't blame you though, because it literally had everything on there, bro. It didn't have a picture of you that you really look like Jonah Hill, but we ain't gonna get into that. I'm gonna let Joe say that.
And then I finally got it to fix and update, and then it wouldn't let me update it. It wouldn't let me change it because it was under verification.
Tell them how long it took you to change it.
Bro, an hour this thing was up. I was sweating for an hour, like just so.
Came into my office hat sideways. I knew it was over. He was working hard.
Yeah, I was stressed, but we got it fixed. It's all good. I'm not verified. I canceled the application for it, so we're just gonna roll. But, we got to talking yesterday about, some things you got going on, working with the Pavement Group and just in your own personal endeavors. What do you got for me on that?
Yeah, man. So what we want to do is, I'm looking at the camera now, so I'm talking directly to y'all, man. We're looking for nonprofits out there right now who need some help, man. The Pavement Group wants to be able to give back to the city and help the city in any type of way. So I want to be involved in making sure that happens. Yes, we're coming out with different programs and things for you guys to be able to enjoy and embrace, but we need your help. So if there's people out there with nonprofits that you feel like are actually helping the city and need some money, come rap to us.
That's it, man. Yeah. I'm going to clip that. We'll put it on social.
Put it on social.
Yeah, for real, though. Reach out. This guy is, he's the plug for a lot that goes on in the city. And if you got some nonprofits out there that need a little more exposure, a little more help, reach out. Let's make it happen. There's a lot of good that we can do with this show. So that's the goal, is not to just have great conversations and, meet cool people, deliver paintings, all that stuff. Right. It's to really give back and, create a community of people that make the city a better place, and hopefully eventually the world a better place. So
come on, we try to make the world a better place. Let's do it.
Let's get it. Well, hey, without further ado, you ready to jump in?
Let's jump.
All right, this is episode 17, Athletic Aesthetic Podcast. Let's get it.
Coming at you live. So I knew about this. He was about to be at Mount Lebo with me.
For real?
Yes, bro. Small world. His wife coaches in Mount Lebo's basketball team.
Okay. So is she the head coach there?
Yeah, this is her first year. She played there years ago, and then she this was her first year as a head coach.
Okay, that's awesome. That would have been crazy.
What?
What a coaching staff.
Listen,
well, I'll be up. I told him, I was like, I'll help out. I'll be at practices when I can. It's just like I don't want to commit to him, and then it's like my wife, because at the end of the football season they start their like
basketball
preseason
season and everything.
So it's just, it was wild.
You need a babysitter. My girl is up for offer, man. My girl, babysitter for sure. I'm telling you that. She loves kids, man. Loves kids. That's why I'm low-key having a tough time right now. She's trying to get her brother to start having kids. I said, baby, did you see the world lately?
Yeah.
Crazy. Crazy stuff, dude. No joke. You said you have 3 kids?
Yeah.
What's oldest to youngest?
So they'll all be like bumping up, but my oldest will be 6 in a couple weeks. The middle one will be 5 in the summer, and then the youngest will be 2 on Easter Sunday.
Wow, man.
Bumping it out every 2 years, bro.
Yeah, nuts.
Man.
3 girls? You said
3 girls, right?
Ooh. Uppercuts.
So that's what I would coach football too if I had boys to like bring them around and stuff.
Right,
But it's like girls, I could, but it's
Send
not
them with
the
their
same.
mom. Go
Yeah,
play basketball.
Right? Yeah,
You gonna keep trying?
we'll see. Probably not. But
You want one boy, don't you?
I definitely do.
I will say that I got a little girl too, and she was our first. And now I got a little boy. He's literally like 3 months old now. So, but yeah, dude, I definitely feel that. Like, I was really excited to get the boy, but like, there's something special about being a girl dad. I'm not gonna lie. That's like, it's
different, and like I love I love my kids regardless. But it's like, part of me selfishly is like, I want to go to a high school football game when stands are packed, and it's just like,
of course.
Well, hey, you see nowadays there's a lot of women in football.
Oh, I know, but I wouldn't. I mean, could you imagine someone like coming across?
Yeah.
Giving them a lick? No thanks.
I feel like I'll be like, I don't know, dude. Like, I just look at, like, I'm like, even about my son. Like,
Right.
do I want him to play? Because, like, football was great for me in my life, but,
It's up to him.
I'm definitely leaving it up to him. Like, I don't, I'm not going to push one way or the other.
It's tough because it's like, I get this way now still. I play in a hoop league down in Southside, right? And it's just like, I need that competition, and I need that. And it's like, football's done so much for me, you know what I mean? And like, so with DeMar's thing, right? You look at that, and it was so conflicting because you're like, man, you just didn't know how to feel because you're like, football's brought me so much, and this is the most tragic thing that's maybe ever will happen in sports. Then it's like, in the back of your mind, and he said it too, is like, when he woke up, like, who won? That's like the football mentality.
That's all you care about.
And it's like getting back out on the field. Like, so, even too, if you take it to a different level, like when Shazier's thing happened, like, I feel like as tragic as that was, rallying around that team and the city rallying around the Steelers, like, was something that helped you overcome the, I guess, depressing side of it, or like the sad side of it. So it is crazy how much it gives you. And like, just even today, like with my wife's team going to games, I'm like nervous. I get butterflies in my stomach, and I'm like, and it's worse as a fan or like a coach because you have no control.
None.
Right? You're
ball's
like,
no longer in your hand, man.
when you're coaching football in high school, you're probably like, all right, 3rd and 7, and we need a score. Like, I know I could run by this guy, but like, is Timmy on the team going to be able to do it? So
Timmy on the team.
No, that's true though, man. Like I say, the one thing about coaching in high school ball specifically, man, is like you teach them as much as you can, but then you have to have so much trust in that the kid's gonna get it done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you were in high school, right? If you seen your teammates slacking, you're like, man, give me the ball.
yeah, exactly.
Give me the ball. Like at the end of the day, like if you're gonna be playing and doing you're not gonna be here today. Give me the ball.
Yeah.
But it goes back to what you said about DeMar, man. It's like, we talked about it, I want to say last week, bro. That athlete mentality, it travels with you for the rest of your life.
Oh, exactly.
Like
100%.
It's different, bro. You compete different in every realm.
When did you start playing football?
When I was 7. So I played at KOA. So I was 7. My cousin was 8. So my team was like Bruce and then Bub Ventrone, who played in the league for 11 years, 10 years. He's the special teams coordinator for the Browns now.
Ventrone. That last name, Ross, is
Ross's
he related?
brother
Oh, okay.
is Ray or Bubba.
Okay.
And he was our running back. So it was like I was the right guard. I was the offensive lineman. And it's so funny. I wish we had it on film. We might, but it's like I would always forget the snap count. And so I'd be like getting there and I'd go to Bruce. I'm like, what's it on? And there's times where like I'd look at him and he'd be like, I don't know. But yeah, so
He's out there making plays.
He's making plays.
Yeah,
You know what I
right?
mean? I know a lot of guys like that, though.
Yeah, right. Oh, I know. So it's like, yeah, it carries with you in anything. Like now I do sales and stuff, and it's like you just got that fight in you
Right.
because you hate losing.
Right.
And I think the biggest thing with like how times have changed always, right? Like nowadays I see it, and you'll see it like going to coach is like, I was always like, let me compete. I want to play at the highest level I can. Where now kids are like getting 5.0s, and it's like, I just want to get into Princeton or, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. It's like, it sets you up better. And I wish I would have taken school more serious, but it's just a different mentality.
Right.
And where you see it as like a high school coach, and like Trey is like, show them that dog side and that fight.
Yeah.
But also, okay, you guys got the school side, but let me just show you how to compete and like, you know what I mean? And do it the right way. Because you get, like, just playing at Pitt, you get access to so much knowledge and so much, I guess, so many resources to take care of your body and how to go about your business on the field.
Right.
And then I don't know much about it, and I'd like to learn more about it, but like the mental side of it,
Right.
I know you do a lot of stuff with like mental health,
Right.
which is good. It's like, just because you compete at a high level or go at it on the field doesn't mean you feel a certain way. And it's like, how do I deal with those emotions,
And that was definitely something that, and I know you can kind of attest to this because I looked up a little bit of your story as well, man. It's like, when you compete at such a high level, bro, that's all you know. That's all you can feel, right? Even now, as we get older into adulthood, we're like, man, like I want to compete. Yeah. I don't care about nothing else. Like I think it'll be hard for me to have kids because I know automatically I'm gonna start talking crap. You know what I mean? Like I can't help it. Like I try to stop myself. Yeah. But then I'm like, oh, they soft. Like my daughter's whooping your ass. Like, I just know it. That's where my competitive side comes from. Yeah. Right? So I try to teach the kids, man, when we go out there, it's like, be the man that you need to be off the field. Say, yes, sir, no, ma'am, whatever it may be, right? But when you step on that field, I don't want you to be nice. Yeah. I just don't. Yeah. Like, I want you to be as savage, like, as you can be. And I know that sounds a little bit crazy, but it's the truth. It's because, like, when you step across those lines, mama can't save you. Yeah. Daddy can't save you. And going against some of the guys that we went against, playing at the high level that we played against, man. But it's crazy, man, because small world, but my strength coach was his teammate. Yeah. Which is even crazy.
Who's that?
Davon Gordon.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like my age. You know, probably like 30, 31. We were freshmen together at West Lib. He's from like the Wheeling. think he went to Wheeling Central.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, stud of a running back. Dude was just always like
Bowling ball.
just
Yeah.
brick, you know. And so yeah, so now it's crazy how like the sports world, like if you play at any level, like the competition's different, obviously, but those networks after your playing days, like wherever people end up coaching or whatever, like, you know,
for sure.
it's like a real fraternity that.
Are you? I don't know if you've heard this before.
Oh shit.
Are you sure that you're not Seth Rogen? Or not Seth Rogen. What's it? Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill. Anybody ever say that?
Hold on.
4 people in the last year. I had never heard it until.
What? Well, like when he lost all that weight.
Yeah, no, that's my first follow-up question every time someone says it is, I'm like, which version of Jonah Hill?
Like,
Wow.
yeah, when he lost all the weight, Jonah Hill. I'm trying to think of
Hey,
the
Kick, come
movie.
here, Kick. I need you to get some video of this because this is just crazy.
Like,
Wow. Look.
Yeah, just send me the video. Dude, come on,
Yeah.
man. Find a good picture of it.
there was
Hey, I'll take it, bro.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good look though because he makes millions. You feel me?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you say so. You're saying I look successful.
there
Yes.
you go. There you
Yes.
go. That's all. That's all.
So here's a funny story, too, just talking about actors. When I was like 15 in high school, my whole family, we'd all go down to the Outer Banks, right? And like 3 times that summer, I had frosted tips.
Dude, I had the frosting
And,
tips too. I like that. Did you spike it up in the front?
Oh,
like
yeah,
That was some
100%.
Justin Timberlake's, huh?
Hell yeah.
So people told me,
jealous.
I had like 3 people tell me like that summer, they're like, you look like Nick Lachey.
Bro, I see it.
So,
Hey, that was my wife's like crush her whole life. So chill
I'll
over there.
stay
all right?
away. I'll stay away.
My wife watches this.
So this girl comes up to me in the Outer Banks and she goes, oh, you know who you look like? And I'm like pumping my chest. I'm like, Nick Lachey? She was like, no, like some kid I went to high school with. I was like, so I went like,
Yeah, bro, you know. I feel like you're like if Nick Lachey and like Ron from Jersey Shore had.
Jersey Shore, come on.
Are you Italian? Is Delsardo
yeah.
like as Italian as it gets?
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of. What's Grakowski? Is that Italian?
Polish.
Polish.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the ski at
So
the
my
end
dad,
threw me off.
my dad has 4 sisters. His mom, they're 100% Italian, and then,
Gotcha.
but yeah. So then, to follow that up, like 2 years ago during the pandemic, we were in Hilton Head, and I went golfing by myself, and I got placed with these 2 guys, and we get to like hole number 7, and they're like, "You really look like Nick Lachey, man." So I'm like, "All right, let's take a picture. You can send it to your wives. Tell them you golf with Nick Lachey."
Yeah, at least it's not Jonah Hill though.
Hey,
Like,
listen.
I don't know how to take that half the time. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I need to get Jonah on the episode.
At this point,
I would think, yeah.
doppelganger.
We work with someone. His name's Tyler, and he looks exactly like Channing Tatum.
100%.
And I said we need to do a reboot of 21 Jump Street.
Yeah.
Whatever
Oh
it's
my
called.
gosh, yes.
Like do some because
Yeah.
he looks. Bro, I'll put him in the edit. He looks just like. If we did like some back-to-back like shots like this,
Oh, it would be
it'd
hilarious.
be like,
Maybe we do
dude,
that at our office.
23 Jump Street's coming out.
We gotta do it at the office.
It's like funny too. I have to see if I can find this picture. But Bruce now is bald, and
Wasn't he always?
well in college. So when I was at Pitt, I turned on one of the Toledo games because they were playing at like, Tuesday nights.
Were you guys graduate? You graduate the same year?
He's 2 years older than me.
Okay.
And oh man, I wish I'll find it at some point.
Yeah,
but
send it to me.
him and The Rock, he looks like a mini, skinnier version of The Rock, like bald hair,
Yeah, I can
like
see it.
eyebrows.
I can see
and,
it.
And The Rock's the owner of the XFL, and Bruce coaches in the XFL. I'm like, how did they not look at each other and be like, we kind of look alike?
Like that Spider-Man meme.
Yeah.
Just looking at each other.
Oh man,
That's funny as hell, dude. Thanks for being here today, man.
No
like
problem.
this is like to go back to what we were talking about earlier before we sat down. If I could rewind and say to myself that I'd be interviewing you to like the middle school version of me, like I'd be geeking out, dude, because that era of Pitt football really
an autograph?
shaped. Yeah, I got a Pelco jersey in my house, still like a size youth medium or something. Like I was tiny, dude, and that's why I looked up to you because like I remember growing up, the first receiver that I kind of saw, because I feel like as an athlete, you always who can I like, who looks like me, and who can I mimic their game to get to that level? And like first it was Wayne Corbett for the Jets, And he was like the first like undersized white dude slot receiver that like I was like, that's my guy, because I was always tiny as hell. Like, I mean, my freshman year in high school, I think I was like 5'3", 95 pounds, like tiny, bro. And then by like 11th grade, I was as big as I am now, and then I just stopped growing. So it was like 2 years of my life. But you know, in middle school, you know, I remember watching Pitt, and like I really got ushered in with the Rod Rutherford, Fitzgerald, you know, connection, the Fiesta Bowl, and like, you know, that whole era really brought me into Pitt football. I'd watch every game with my grandfather. I mean, we even went to a couple when you guys, you know, were first starting playing at Heinz Field. And then you know, the Palco era came in, and you guys were there, and I'll never forget the one-handed catch, the Sports Center top 10 play, dude. I still to this day don't know how you caught it. I mean, I strategically put this one behind you.
Yeah.
Because I think this is the best catch I've ever seen in my life. But bro,
I'm not gonna lie, I was hoping to have like a painting unveiled, you know?
you said yes to doing the podcast last week, so
Yeah.
I didn't have enough time to
Yeah,
work
no,
one up
no,
yet.
you're
But
good.
I actually texted Trey, and I was like, dude, I'm about to drop everything I got to do this week and just paint that play. But yeah, no, that play really, like, I was like, damn, that you know, stuck out. I was sitting down, like, Trey and I this is our second official episode co-hosting. So I've been doing this show for a year, and met Trey in the fall, and you know, we made it Facebook official and brought him on like last week, you know.
Facebook officials,
yeah,
real, man.
It's
You know what I
real,
mean?
so
Real relationships, you know?
yeah.
It's not official until it's
out
on
there for-
Facebook.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. It's out there to the world now. But, you know, I sat down. I'm like, who would be like ideal guests to get on? So I started thinking like the obvious people to come up like, oh, I want Kenny Pickett. I want, you know, all these big name like current players. And while, yeah, I do want to have them on, I started thinking like, who really like made me fall in love with the game of football? And so I started writing down my favorite teams and favorite players. I started going through my like high school. I went through the closet of like I still have all my jerseys I had like growing up.
Yeah.
And I came across the Palco one, and I was like, Palco, and I thought about that play.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I wonder what the hell he's up to.
Yeah.
Searched you on Instagram, found out you have a podcast of your own, and I was like, so yeah,
Well,
it's crazy to have you here, man. All that to say, I'm glad to have you.
no, I appreciate it. I gotta love.
Hey, you
It's
got
a
a
lot
fan
of love,
right here.
I'm blushing.
I like really grew up in that era, so yeah, not to like, you know,
No,
be
I
I'm a
sitting
little
here
bit
like,
too young, just a little bit.
Yeah, you're young buck.
And then Kick back here, he's super too young. That's his.
Kick didn't know who. I did a painting of Cordell Stewart last year, and he didn't know who Cordell Stewart was.
Okay, that's fair.
okay. So that was like
That's
Out of here,
fair.
Kick.
you gotta look at the Steeler history, you know.
I know, right?
So what was it like
Slash.
playing at Pitt for you during that era, man? You got two different eras, right? You had the Palco era, then you had the Larry Fitz, Rod Rutherford era when you were a freshman.
Yeah.
Tell me about those two eras, man. Like, what was spectacular for you, but what was also the most difficult things for you?
It was so it was like kind of like when I was a freshman in high school in 8th grade, right? I would go to high school and I would look up at the seniors like, these guys, these are men, right? Like how I'm not going to be able to get that big. How am I going to play against these guys and they're seniors in high school? And I kind of felt that way a little bit with coming in as a freshman at Pitt. You know, you had Rod, Lou Saka Polite, Shante Spencer, Fitz, like, and this was after Fitz's unbelievable freshman year. So you come in and you're practicing against these guys, and they just seemed like similar to when I was a freshman in high school. I'm like, wow, these guys are like big. How am I going to play? I came in and I'm thinking like, I need a lift. I came in at like 208. And Walt Harris was like, you need to lose like 20 pounds. You need to get faster. So I had like cut weight, but it was, I think the difficult thing was even for someone like me coming, I mean, I grew up 15 minutes from Oakland, right? And you're a local kid too. Right. So it was like, I was coming to Pitt, but I was still homesick, right? I was a walk-on. I knew a couple of the guys on the team, but it was still like, I remember going to like lunch and stuff during camp, and I'm like sitting by myself just because I'm like, I don't fit in. I'm a walk-on. They don't really want me here, but they kind of do want me here, but I'm, you know.
I had the same feeling, only at a D2 level. Like I got injured my senior year in high school. I had like interest from Pitt. I went to a couple camps, whatever. I was probably going to be a walk-on, but like even that seemed far-fetched. So like I walked on. Same feelings though where I was a preferred walk-on where I went, and it's weird. It's like preferred walk-on. What the hell does that mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, you still got to go out every single chance you get and prove yourself because.
And I got a high respect for walk-ons, by the way, and that's for both of you, just because you guys pay to get tortured.
Oh,
you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
right?
Like, you're paying to hopefully get a chance for this to be free, but you're paying to wake up at 6 a.m. to be tortured by your coach, to be tortured by your teammates.
Bro,
like,
when people with scholarships would be like complaining about off-season workouts, I'd be like, man,
my pockets
Right?
hurt and my body hurt.
And so it was crazy. So like, I remember a kid, his name was Doug Roseberry, came in and he played in an all-star game with my cousin Bruce. And I was like walking around. It's like you see in the movies, right? Like when you were in 21 Jump Street and you're walking around high school. And,
Jesus.
but I was walking around like, didn't really know where to sit. And he was like, hey, come over here. And he played with my cousin Bruce and he knew who I was like from that. And then you start to feel more comfortable and it gets on. And I remember going up to the coaches. I'm like, I'll play on special teams. I don't care. Like I was running down as a gunner, like 208 pound, short white guy. I'm like, I can't get down there. Like he's in the end zone before I'm getting down to cover the punt. But I played on like punt return, kickoff return.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just want to get on the field. And I played some special teams. And then it was like, then you start to learn the game, right? You start to learn things that you can do. And I started to lose weight. And so after my my freshman year, we had this new coach come in, Pete Carmichael, senior. So like the Saints offensive coordinator, Pete Carmichael, his dad was our coach. He was like 60-something years old. He was a character. But he taught me a lot on getting open, like how to manipulate the defender. And then as that spring ball started going on, I was the leading receiver. I was like down to like 183, and things started to get a little easier for me. And that's where I'm like, oh, I was the leading receiver. Walt told me I might get a scholarship. And I go in and I'm like, I call my parents. I'm like, I think this is it. Like Walt wants to see me. And I go into his office and he chews my ass. Like, can I swear?
Sorry.
No, yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Say whatever you want.
So
He's like, you missed 17 blocking assignments on the run game. And he's going through this stuff. And I'm like, and then it started to click. I'm like, okay, it's not just about catching passes, right? It's like you need to learn what you're doing in the run game.
Exactly.
And it's like attention to detail on everything. So then camp comes around, and Terrell Allen, who was my year, played as a freshman, got hurt. Prince L. Brockenbrough, Larry left. Prince L. Brockenbrough hurt his knee. So it was like there was an opportunity, right? And it was like I had to take advantage of that opportunity. And I think I was the only wide receiver that camp, and it was hot. And I was the only one that didn't like sit out at some point in camp.
So you got mad reps.
It was like, oh yeah.
So you're at like 160 at that point.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. So it's like, and it just goes back to like what's inside of you and how you fight. And I knew because Tyler and I, my rookie year, Tyler, my freshman year, Tyler redshirted because him and Luke Getzey were both as like the backup quarterbacks.
Ooh, Flacco was on that roster too, right? Joe
Flacco was, my freshman year. We were the same year.
Crazy. He sucked then too. I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
Chill, dude. We might get him as a
I'm
guest.
just playing.
Yeah,
I'm playing.
Hey, I still talk to him. I'll get him on. When
All right, cool.
He's a good dude.
But so after practice, like Tyler and I or Joe and I, whoever, we'd go just practice, throw routes, like do whatever. And Tyler was the same way. Like he had to prove himself. So there was all this extra reps after practices, my freshman year. And then all that work translates into my sophomore year. And it was the night before the first game is when Walt told me like I was starting.
Yeah.
And it's like one of those things too, because Ron Idoko, who's still up at Pitt, I don't know if you know Ron. So he was a walk-on, and he was like getting a lot of reps at DN. So Walt's talking, he's like, hey, this guy walked on, and I'm thinking, like, I'm not even thinking of myself. I'm just thinking like, oh, Ron probably is going to get a scholarship. And then he said me, and I'm like, I just started like crying.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
man.
It's like,
that's beautiful right there, bro. I can honestly say seeing walk-ons like you earned it. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of guys that come in on scholarship, and they think they got everything, you know what I'm saying, together, and they end up being a bust. Like, I've seen 5 stars end up being weak, not good at all, right? But then you see those walk-ons who come in, they give everything. Like I said, money, time, bro, like, they have to be patient. I have more respect for walk-ons than I do for any player that I ever played with. You know what I'm saying? Just because y'all have to fight to get what you want.
Yeah. And it's like, and it happened. It kind of happened too, like when the coaching change happened. And
What was that after that year? Or?
that was after my sophomore year.
Okay.
But it was like, because you go through and it's like, okay, they're going to give these scholarship guys a chance before, you know, they might give them 2 chances before you get a chance to
Right.
prove yourself.
Oh, for sure,
But
dude.
and it depends on the coaching staff. Like Walt, like if he didn't trust you, if he didn't trust that you knew where you would be or had to be, and he didn't trust that you were going to catch the ball, like you weren't going to play. 'Cause
Yeah.
it didn't matter how good you were, how fast you were, how athletic. It was like,
Yeah.
be where you're supposed to be and catch the ball. Right. And that was, you know, that was how I got my shot. And it's like taking advantage of those opportunities. And
Right.
yeah, so it was wild. And being in my hometown too, it was like the highs were high, but then it was like, you know, then going into my junior year, I get benched and things happen. It's like you want to climb into a hole and, you know, not come out. And that on top of the rest of the stuff I was getting into was, you know, tough. It was a tough time.
So, I mean, I know you've told your story a lot, you know, but I mean, even for me, someone that grew up, you know, watching you play, I didn't really know the extent of your story until recently when I asked you to come on. So I like started digging in and like, you know, watching some of the interviews and things you've been putting out and doing over the years. And it's actually funny, Anthony, our video guy, you actually spoke at one of his class, like at his school. We're growing up at Montour.
Yeah. Coach Lou.
Oh yeah, Coach Lou's the best.
So it's
But-
really cool to see, like, you know, what you've been doing since, you know, you've been through all that. And I don't want that to be the focus of our episode because
Yeah.
I know you've lived a full life since then. And I think that's like a tendency, I think probably when people talk to you or share your story is like, let's focus on the negative, right? But it is part and a huge part of your story. So I want to go back there just briefly.
Yeah.
You know, I know you said this kind of started in high school, right? With
Yeah.
an injury?
Yeah, so I got hurt my senior year, and like I was terrified. So like you talk about like visions and goals and stuff, right? Like I wanted to play big time. Like that was my goal. So I didn't drink in high school. Like I didn't party. I was just never into that scene. And like my junior year, I chewed out the team because it was like 2 days before a playoff game, we had off school and they were at a party and like all these kids were smoking weed and doing this stuff. And I'm like, you know, we were getting pounded in a playoff game and I'm like MFing these kids. And then a year later I get hurt and I had no idea what pills were. I didn't know anything about it, but I'm like, man, I'm going to be able to play if I take this and I'm trying to earn a scholarship. So I end up taking it and you know, end up going down this downward spiral and came out of it for like, you know, a year and a half and 2 years during my first couple years in college and was able to, you know, have that successful part. And then as things started going downhill from a playing perspective, then the other stuff went downhill.
Did the downhill of the playing trigger that, or did that trigger the downhill spiral of the playing? Like, you know what I mean? Did the drugs affect the playing, or did the playing affect the drugs first?
I think so. The drugs didn't really affect my playing because you know, and I would have to maybe go back and watch tape, but it was still like my junior year, Notre Dame, you know, I had a good game, and the next game there were 3 interceptions all targeted towards me. And then it was like, after that I was benched. And then that's when I felt like things slowly kind of go downhill. And like I was saying earlier, like everything's magnified, whether it was magnified or not. In my head, it was magnified because I'm in my hometown. I feel like that embarrassment, and it was just like I just want to crawl in a hole and not come out. And that's kind of what I did for like that long weekend we had, because we played on a Friday night, and I didn't come out for like 2 days because I'm like, I don't want to see anybody and I don't want to talk to anybody, and I just felt like embarrassed. So that's when like the things started to really kind of go downhill for me off the field.
Yeah.
But I still felt like I was able to compete at a high level, right? Like I was still in practice, like I was still going up against Darrell Revis and, you know, Josh Lay and some of these guys that are like, obviously Darrell's in the Hall of Fame. Right. But it's like, you know, I'm not going to say I was killing him every time, but I got him here and there. And if you went against Darrell, if you got him on a slant or a post, like he'll tackle you the next time. So yeah, so I felt like I was still playing at a high level,
So did anybody in your life know that you were using?
Yeah, I was dating someone at the time. I had friends, like I said, I grew up around here. I had friends that were around here. My family suspected it, I think. They heard things, but it was like they could never catch you in the act. Because when you get into that life, you're like really good at being really sneaky. So it's like, you know, if they can't like physically see you do it, then like in your head it never happened, and you're good at telling them that it never happened.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a.
And so you'd say you think it started out of a fear of losing football in high school because you were injured, right? So you said you started taking the pain meds.
Yeah.
And so then that just progressed. And so you were you were maybe clean for your freshman and sophomore year, or?
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, maybe here and there, like, but it wasn't like an everyday thing. Like it started to be as like my junior and senior year came about. And,
yeah.
But it was like, yeah, it was not, did I do stuff my freshman and sophomore year? Yeah, but it was like far more sporadic. And during the season, it was like, I don't even know if I did anything during my sophomore year.
Yeah.
But it's funny that I told someone this yesterday. I was just talking to a guy, and I'm like, honestly, the way I felt about drugs, I was terrified of them. And it was like, it wasn't like, hey, you know, you growing up with me, it wasn't like you make a mistake, like it was like, if you come home drunk or if I see you smoking cigarettes or anything, like I'll kill you. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it was like, and that didn't like scare me or push me into it. Like I was terrified of drugs. So if someone told me when I took like that first painkiller, like, hey, you can get hooked on this, and like, I don't know if I ever would have taken it. But I was just so naive. I didn't know anything. I'm like, oh, this is going to let me play. I didn't know it was addictive.
Right. And that's the one thing that, like, injuries play such a big role, is because they fill you up with so many different prescriptions. And then you get to a point where it's like, am I supposed to be still taking these? I still have 200 pills left. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And you easily get caught into it. I caught myself at one point in my third knee surgery. I was like, wait a minute. Like, I'm getting too comfortable. Yeah. Flushed them immediately. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just – playing football, man, you identify as a football player. You live your life as a football player. You do everything that you've ever done to be a football player, or any sport, right? So when that's taken away from you and you're told either A, you're not good enough, and or the injuries involved, it's like, man, I let my town down, especially playing in your own city, right? I let my town down. I let my family down. People don't care about me no more. You just start getting deeper and deeper into that hole. And it's not like you really want to come out of that hole either. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, as much as you're grinding, busting your butt at practice, you're still not getting the results that you want. Mm-hmm. And that becomes difficult, right? So I could understand where you were coming from.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, like, to his point,
like 2 or 3 season-ending injuries, right? Mm-hmm. Like you had. And it's like, how do you know, just the will to come back and keep fighting. Right. And you end up finishing your senior year was like the ACC championship year. Mm-hmm. Right. So it's like, man, to accomplish that. And it's like, you have to kind of step back and look at it and have some involvement in sports to really appreciate that, because it's like, most people, and I've seen it, you've probably seen it too. It's like, oh, 2 knee injuries. They're like, oh, I'm done. Like, you know, they don't want to fight anymore. Or you see some of these people now retire and they're like, or I was reading the Andrew Luck story. It was like, I don't want to push through that rehab anymore and do this. And it's like 7 years. Like,
That's so Stanford kids, dude. They don't have the dog.
Yeah, right. You know, you need to be Pittsburgh tough.
Yeah.
Seriously, though. Pittsburgh touch different, man.
but yeah, like to come back and do that, and then you get to finish out with ACC championship. Like, not many people can do that. And it's like he said, he flushed those pills. It could have been like 2 days away or 3 days away from like just keep taking them and like
You're hooked.
Yeah.
Like, you never know.
Yeah, man. I think I actually heard you say on one of the interviews, I think it was with like Colin Cowherd. Did you do an interview with him on the radio at one point? Maybe like 10 years ago or something?
Colin Cowherd or Dunlap.
Colin Dunlap, my bad.
Okay,
That
I was thinking Colin Cowherd. I'm like, did I do
my
that?
bad. When I just said that, I wasn't
all good,
thinking.
man.
It was
It's
like
all
I,
good.
like I said, I was telling you earlier. I think I'm like dyslexic a little bit because I always, for the first like 6 months I met him, I thought his name was Trey Turner, the guy that played for the Steelers.
Yeah.
I mess people's last names up with the. Anyways, that's just that's just who I am.
Yeah, man.
I was trying to say something important, but I screwed it up with the name.
Colin Dunlap. You were saying-
Anyways, yeah, Colin Dunlap. And you said something on there about, you know, when you became addicted, and it was like when you're addicted, your primary focus is that,
Yeah.
and everything else kind of melts away and becomes second. And I think it's interesting too, because like I think, you know, if you ask people that know your story, they'd probably say your first addiction was the pain meds or whatever. But like the truth is your first addiction was football. Oh, yeah. And when that got taken away from you, everything else became second nature, and you were like, whatever I got to do to get that fix of being on the field,
Right.
and that was the pain meds. So
Yeah.
like it's dangerous, and the reason I bring that up is because there's something we always speak into is you know, finding your purpose
Right.
outside of the lines, and still having that dog on the field to be like, you know, when I'm working out, when I'm on the field, this is everything. It's my sole focus. But you have to have something to look forward to outside of the lines while
100%.
you're playing, even if you don't know if you don't have it figured out yet. You have to be like in the process of like figuring out, because the moment that game's taken from you, if you don't have a bigger why, or like this is why I'm playing, or this is, you know, what I want to do someday or whatever, it becomes an addiction that you got to get back on the field, and you'll do whatever it takes to do that.
Yeah.
So,
Man.
you know, I you know, that's, I think where, especially before, you know, the social media era, before the knowledge of like injury and medicine and the long lasting effects of that on athletes, you know, you were kind of a victim to that, where, you know, you probably were like, you know, I just got to get on the field. Doesn't matter. Like I'll deal with the repercussions later. And, you know, so did you have something, do you think, like looking back, or was it just football?
I think it was just football. And I think too, like, I think there's positives and negatives, obviously, of like social media, right? And having so much access to so much information, and two, you're put on more of a pedestal than you probably should be, a lot of folks. But so no, at that point it was like just football. Like I was average student at best. Like, you know, that was never a huge focus. It was like stay eligible for football, stay eligible for sports, right? And so that was like my drive, and there was nothing beyond that. It was like, I'm just gonna play. And you know, it wasn't like, hey, I want to get into sales, or I want to be a doctor, or I want to do this. It was just like, I want to play football, and I want to play professionally if I can. And so yeah, I think now with access to social media, with access to more people through social media that played at a high level and do things outside of it, now kids can see, okay, there's more to life than football.
Right.
You know? And so, like, especially with NIL, and I don't know how I feel on NIL, but it's like, you know, someone like in DeMar's case, right? He was able to set up his foundation in college.
Right.
So if he never made it to the NFL, he had something beyond himself that he was going to do. And I guess too, and I started to realize this years after, is okay, I went through this tough time, and like this is probably why, so I can go out and share it, right? And Montour was the first school I went to, and fortunately for me, like most people would not have a clue who I was, but luckily I had a catch that's the only reason people in Pitt typically know who I am, right? It was like one catch.
Right.
And people come up, they're like, "Oh, it's Notre Dame." I was like, "No, it
Rutgers.
wasn't. It was Rutgers." Yeah.
he said, I didn't forget it.
Come on, man.
And they're like, so I feel like that, as I grew, like that was my purpose, right? Is I went through this tough time and I came out of it on the other side to go back and share my story, and hopefully like one person could be affected by it in a positive way and not go down that path, which is too like kind of like the tough thing about it, because if you're coaching a kid, right, or whatever, it's like you can coach a kid up and then he gets a scholarship and you're like, man, I made a difference. Like I helped him get there. Where it's like addiction, I talk to these kids and I don't know how it affects them if someone got something from it. But
yeah.
you know,
Well,
you
Anthony's
hear,
in the military.
are you?
When you talked, I DM'd you on Twitter right after, man. You moved like the whole football team, everybody. I remember walking away from that with almost like tears in my eyes. It was, and to know that was your first one, man, and hear it for like the first time, and you going up there. It was,
Hang on, you want to say that into the mic? 'Cause that was good, dude.
it was. I just remember being so moved by that, man. It was,
Well, I appreciate it, and
We got to get you a mic over there.
and
for
it
sure.
is. I know you do need to get him a mic, but it's like, and that's the thing is you get the positive feedback, and it kind of stinks because it's a sad topic, right?
Right.
It's like it's truly life or death, because people will come up to me afterwards and they'll be like, "Hey, I've heard crazy stories where it's like, hey, I'm addicted to this, but my uncle or my dad that I live with is like my drug dealer," and it's like I heard some wild stories, or like my child is doing this, and I'm like, hey, like the sad thing is like it could end up really, really bad, like with death, and that's like the worst of it all. So it's a tough thing to talk about, but it's something that people are going through. Like so many people are affected by addiction, like most people, so like talking about it, and that's kind of what I realized when I was like 3 or 4 years clean. My dad said to me too, like I went to talk to Montour and he's like, hey, I heard you talk to Montour. Like, I really think you need to reconsider doing this, because like you're going to have to get a job and people are going to know about this and it's going to be out there. And at the time I was just like, I don't care. Like, I feel like I need to do it.
Right.
And not only that, but it's like in a selfish way, like it helps me. Mm-hmm. And I was reading something on you, like when, with your love organization, it's like helping other people helps you too, to like stay straight.
100%.
And that's the way I feel, is like helping others helps me to like not want to go off that path. Right. Yeah. So it's that's how I feel. And that's like, as I went through and dealt with like being done with football, is like, okay, this is my why, and this is my purpose beyond like, my family and like things like that. Like,
Yeah. What would you say to like a high school, maybe middle school, high school student right now who like their main focus is that dream of making it to the league, playing professional, whether it's football, basketball, whatever, and they really like, have never asked themselves, what do I want to do outside of that? Like, what would you say to maybe start, that conversation, or like exploring those things? Is there something you would have liked to do? I guess, what would you do differently is maybe the question.
I guess I would go back and look at, I don't, it's tough to say, because, certain people say it like, if you have a if you have a plan B, it's like you don't put everything you have into plan A. But I would just say almost like don't try and ruin your life for that game. Like I would never say to someone, like I think if you're going to play a sport, like, or do anything you want to do, right? Like if you're a musician or you're an artist, like put everything into it, right? And find something that you like to do, whether it's play the guitar or write or paint or whatever it is. Just because you play football doesn't mean you can't explore the arts. Like I was a theater minor.
Really?
Right? Yeah. So it was, and I didn't get into that till my senior year. I saw our high school like musical at Seton, and I'm like, I like that song. And then I started getting into it. I went.
He's Zac Efron before Zac Efron.
Nick Lachey, I'm telling you.
Right?
I saw Jessica Simpson in those Daisy Dukes on Dukes of Hazzard. And was like, that's.
So I guess like find a passion outside of sports, right?
Sure.
And it doesn't need to be like, it doesn't need to take away from your sports, because you need to put everything into whatever you do. And that was like me. And that's what, like, if I talk to kids now, I try and say is like, all these kids, right? Like they'll go to personal trainers and strength coaches and do this. And that's not bad, but it's like, do it on your own a little bit. Like we would go, when I was little, we would go play basketball. So Brandon Cheatham, who was a hooper in Blackhawk, went to play at Ohio State. We'd go work out with his dad, and then for 3 or 4 hours. And then we'd go play 2-on-2, me, Bruce, my buddy, and my brother. And it was like, we'd play 2-on-2 for like 10 minutes, and then we'd be like fist fighting and firing balls at each other for, 45 minutes. And it was like, just get that fight in you and put everything into it. But like, you still need to have that in the sport you're playing. You want to have that tenacity, but like, when you're done fighting and doing this, like go read a book or,
gotta
write or.
Yeah, something I've like learned over the years, especially because it's really hard to balance. Because like as an artist, you're taught to like feel and like express your emotions, and then like you get on the football field and it's like, dude, you gotta find a different channel, and it's really like a weird balance, especially if you major. And you said you minored in the arts. I was an art major playing college football. Like I didn't relate to any of my teammates on that scale. So like, they're coming out of like these different kind of lectures and classes, and they're like, they're just like amped up. They've been sitting still at a desk all day. You know what I mean? And then I just came out of this like art class where I was sketching like a nude model, and I'm just like real chill and relaxed, and I gotta like flip the switch and be aggressive now. So it was definitely like a different scenario being an arts major, but I think that it actually made me more of a well-rounded person, because I know art majors and like artists in general that didn't tap into the competitive side, and they struggle now in business. They're incredible artists. They don't
know
have
business.
The competitive side of it.
Yeah, to fight through, like it's a competitive field, right? Like to go out and to do anything, whether it's arts, but it's like you need to fight, because if you're not doing it, someone's doing it.
Somebody.
Yeah, and then on the other side of that, I know people that were athletes and they never tapped into that competitive side, and they just still beat their head against the wall when something goes wrong. So they like never tapped into their feelings. So there is like a balance to it all.
I definitely find it important though, to what you said, is working on your mental. You know what I'm saying? Because we pay people so much just to work on our physical, right? Like if I'm fat, I want to look good. I want to go pay somebody right now to go get my body right. Or if I feel like I need to get better at football, I'm going to pay somebody to go train me, right? But why are we not paying people to train our minds? And why are we not also going out there to train our own minds as well? That's why I got so deep in the mental health realm. Is because like at the end of the day, right, it comes down to you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And nowadays, kids, they rely so much on everybody else giving them something, right? They're not going out on their own and working. They're not going out on their own and playing basketball until the lights come on. That's a little bit different than what we went through, that kids nowadays don't really technically do as much. You know what I'm saying? So to see that now, I feel like a lot of kids these days just expect things to happen just because they put in some work.
Yeah.
They don't understand what hard work actually means. Hard work is working when nobody else is actually watching you. That's
Yeah.
so cliche to say, but
Yeah.
like you're actually over there in the dark days, bro, almost in a dungeon just going at it. But that's even with your mental health as well, right? Like,
Yeah.
how are you working on your personal development? Are you reading books? Are you taking time to listen to yourself? Are you giving yourself love? Have you taken those times to actually say, I love you?
Yeah.
Like, and you really got to ask yourself, like, do I love me?
Yeah.
Like, because a lot of people, they go on in life and don't actually love themselves. They love everybody but themselves.
Yeah.
How is that
Yeah.
fair? You spend more time with you than anybody else in your entire life, 24/7, 365. But you'll love somebody else faster than you'll love yourself.
Yeah.
Make sense of that.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't. And that's what I say. So like going back to like addiction and recovery and stuff is they always teach you, like, you have to be selfish, right? Like you have to take care of your recovery and your addiction before you can ever think about like taking care of anyone else.
You got to be selfish to be selfless.
Yeah.
Dang, man. Clip that. That's right there. That's a clip right there, dude.
That's the intro. That's the
Yeah.
intro part.
I
Right?
wrote that one. I ain't
Yeah.
gonna lie.
Was that off the cuff or you
Off the
always
cuff,
say
out
that?
of the top
Okay.
of my head. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I felt like I was freestyling right there.
That's but that's the truth. Like if I don't focus on me staying clean, then I start doing drugs again. Then it's like I'm no good to my wife, my kids, my family, anybody. But it's like if I take care of that part of it, then I can be of service or of value to other people. And it is crazy too. Like going back to what Trey was saying is like kids, and I think so. Touching on NIL and the transfer portal,
You mean free agency?
I think I think the transfer portal with NIL is the worst thing because now kids don't have to face adversity. It's like, man, if I come to Pitt and I don't play, well, I'll just transfer to Toledo, and if I don't play there, then I'll just transfer to wherever.
I like it in the sense that it gives them the freedom to like it makes coaches, I think, a little more accountable to like not go in and tell lies in kids' living rooms. But to your point, I think there should be some standard for like
100%.
what is like a moral transfer almost. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like there's a reasonable one, and then there's.
I personally feel you should only be allowed one transfer.
I agree
Because
with that.
there's kids jumping like hopscotch to different schools, right? And then with that said, like people can get upset with me. I don't care. I'm just going to keep it real. In my personal opinion, in terms of NIL, there should be no kid with $3.2 or $3.5 million in their current bank account.
Yeah.
Hear me out here. I think that they should be able to have a max limit of maybe 500,000 and be taught on what to do with that 500,000. Then the rest of those millions be put aside for them for when they graduate.
Yeah.
So now if that kid no longer wants to play ball, right, he or she has an opportunity, depending on what sport they play, to now to continue their life however they plan on continuing their lives.
Yeah.
So you cap it off at a certain level so they can learn to do with a little before they get a lot. And that's my personal opinion on how they should have did it.
I agree with it. Can we start a business on that?
It's funny you asked. We're gonna talk after this.
It's gonna happen.
But no, I mean, I agree with that. And then here's the thing too, going back to like social media and these kids. So like, I'll turn on the TV and I see some kid from California or wherever, and he's sitting there with 6 helmets, and then it's on ESPN. I'm like, this kid hasn't played a down of college football.
Acting like it's LeBron going to Miami.
Yeah. So not only that is it ridiculous that high school kids are being put on this pedestal, but now the pressure that you're putting on this kid to perform. So he goes to Ohio State or wherever he goes and doesn't start as a freshman. Oh, is he a bust? Or he starts as a freshman and he throws 30 interceptions to 10 touchdowns. It's like,
I don't think you could tag an 18-year-old kid as a bust. Here's why.
No.
It's because that's an 18-year-old kid.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
This kid doesn't even know what he wants to major in.
Come on, bro.
Right?
So
Yeah.
You can't, and people do it so often. I feel like fans forget that we're humans, right?
Yeah.
Like they look at us and they see us what we do. You seen him make a catch as a kid. In your head, he can take off and he can fly around the city. It's not actually possible. We're still human enough to the point where as much as you think that we got it good, we still go back home when we're stressed out. We still have these problems. We still have these issues, and we play a sport.
Yeah.
On top of that, right? So it's going back to like, please appreciate the athlete for the human as well as the athlete that they are. Because, again, nobody knew what you were going through.
Mm-hmm.
Not until you said something.
Yeah.
You understand? But then those fans still call you. And now on social media, that 18-year-old kid they call a bust can now see on who's calling him a bust.
Yeah.
Right? So you're playing with his mental health as we speak.
Exactly.
He drops a pass, right? Now he's getting tweets. Oh, you suck. You shouldn't be here. Yeah. At one point in time, I had somebody call my mom because I dropped a pass and say that I shouldn't even exist. And I'm like, bro, it's that deep for you? You probably went to school here for probably 2 years and dropped out, and you mad at me because I dropped one pass. But that happens everywhere, man.
So
It
should
happens
you
not
should
only
you have
at
caught
a
it though?
100% I should have caught that ball. I should have caught it. Can't lie. Should have caught it. Probably didn't deserve to be on the field after that. But hey, don't tell me that because I'm already feeling that.
Yeah, right?
You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
exactly.
Like,
I'm harder on myself than you'll ever be. So
you know
just
what I
let
mean?
me be,
Let me
right?
be for a second. Like,
Yeah, bro. I still replayed plays from high school that I'm like, I should have caught that.
but
dude,
here's
or
the
I
worst
should've-
part.
Like,
They don't
you
even
never forget it.
They don't even understand that. Yeah, you may feel this way, but we're about to go watch film.
Oh, bro.
And coach is about to go stop it, rewind, play it, stop, rewind. Like,
Yeah.
and it used to kill your whole pride,
Bro, I thought about quitting after every film session.
The worst part is, and I know everybody knows this, and I'm just gonna put it out there. You know when you mess up in a game, and then you get into the film room and you know your play's coming up, but they stop the play right before your play, and then you get to your play and he's talking about somebody else. He ain't even see you yet. Yeah. And he're rewinding it. You're just like,
Have you ever gotten the pass where you're sweating like I can't even sleep that night, and then you get to film? Bro, this happened to me one time where I was so worked up about him seeing this one play because he would eat us alive, dude.
Kill
I
us,
mean,
bro.
straight up, like he knew I was an art major, so he'd use that to his advantage, like talking about like I don't even know how you fucking color in the lines and like you know what I'm saying, like just I mean as brutal as it possibly can get. That's like on the like light scale of what he would tell me. But there was one time I was like terrified. I was like, it's probably the worst play that I've ever gotten into. We get in there, we get like 3 plays before it, and I'm like, dude, it's coming up. He stands up, starts freaking out, like, cause we got our ass beat that game, and he goes, I can't even watch this film anymore. Like yanks the cord out of the wall, and I was like,
Thank
whoa,
God.
praise God, dude. Like this was like the best moment of my life. I left that room like we just got our ass beat, we just got chewed out, and I'm like walking away with like a smile on my face.
but
like,
listen, the worst is though is when you're either on special teams and you get like destroyed, and coach is not talking about you, but you hear everybody on the team going, ooh, yo, chill. Man, listen, I
You
had
didn't see
one
it.
play. I got hit so hard. This is the one I ended up in the hospital. I got hit so hard that like all I remember is just like waking up and then realizing I can't breathe. And then I go to watch the film in the hospital, mind you.
This is when your lung collapsed?
Bro, my lung collapsed, bro. I'm in the hospital and I'm getting texts from my boys like, bro, like, you all right? Like, that film ain't look too good. I'm like, bro, let me see the film. So they give me an iPad. I'm watching the film and I'm just watching me just get crushed, like, crushed. As soon as I got back, right? As soon as I started practicing again, my coach started being like, yeah, that boy made you scared, huh? You scared to catch again, ain't you? I'm like, come on, coach. And they, like, coaches, I don't know if people know this, coaches ain't got no remorse. Like, when you're in their realm, they don't care about your mother. They don't care about your
dude.
father. They don't care about...
Like, what's the dude who makes the content where it's like, Coach...
I know you're talking
bro, it's
about.
so true.
It's so true. He's
You
like...
know what I'm talking about? Like,
No.
he's like, he pretends to be a
Coach,
coach,
it's
and
like-
he'll, like, watch film. Coach, do you know what I'm talking about?
It's after every like game where, like, say, for example, when Tennessee lost, he puts on, like, a Tennessee... like get up, right?
Oh, that's hilarious.
And then he like points out kids and how bad the certain play was, and he acts like the coach.
What's his name?
And you hear it, and you're just like,
That's
"That was my
hilarious.
coach.
Yeah.
That was my coach."
I'll send you I'll send you some of these videos, but bro, they're so accurate.
Isn't there one where he was like, "Your mother shouldn't even have had you. You should, you should just go home."
Bro, they always like, and then like the music will be like, like when he says it, and they're like,
Did you ever see the thing? It's been going around like a baseball coach, and he's like, you know, your mommy or your daddy might tell you that it doesn't matter if you win as long as you play hard. He's like, well, I'm here to tell you that your mom or dad are probably a loser.
But that's stuff that you hear, bro. Like, seriously, bro. Like, I've heard people just walk-ons, especially like walk-ons, get it bad, bro. Like,
bro, he would eat us a lot. And my bad, I was trying to find his video.
my dad hit one of my best friends. Now, and here's the thing too with like coaching and how you approach it to like life after football. So my buddy played through high school, grew up playing for my dad in basketball and football. So we get yelled at this one game. We're losing by like 30 in hoops. And my dad hits him with this line, which I think is like the greatest. And we talk about it on our podcast. And me and my buddy still even joke about it. He's like, he goes, you know what your problem is? People tell you you're good, but you really stink. And it's funny. So like my dad had a stroke and was sick like years ago. And my buddy worked his way up through the fashion world, right? Talk about sports. Like I never even knew he was into fashion. And he comes home, he's like, yeah, man, I'm trying to get on this MTV show. And I'm like, I think I've just seen you wear Nike shorts and a T-shirt my whole life. I didn't even know you were into it. So now he lives in Italy and is like, works for Ferragamo, like big time fashion. And he came back to like tell my dad when he was sick, like, hey, thanks for always pushing me because I had some tough bosses and da-da-da. So my dad, he comes in to talk to my dad. He's in a deep V-neck that's like down here, jeans that are short, Chuck tees, no socks on, right? Like totally, my dad's like sweatpants and a hoodie guy all the time. And he comes in and my dad's like not with it totally. And he's like, my buddy's like tearing up a little bit. And he's like, Coach, I just want to say like, thank you. And my dad stops and he goes, whoa. What are you wearing right now? And it was just like so quintessential and like fitting for how my dad is. And like, but to go back to like the film is like, you get this like brutal honesty and you're just like, man.
Bro, it tears you apart. Even in practice, bro, like there's no let up. Like there's no, and that's where some things like I feel like kids nowadays like don't really understand what it means to go play college football. It doesn't matter if it's D2, D3, D1, like mommy and daddy can't save you here. Yeah. Like the players are different. If you can't fight, you better learn.
Yeah.
Yep. You better learn
and
fast.
Then to go back to film, it never failed to when you would do something right, never would be talked about.
Never. You never.
Right? Waiting for that one time you like came across the middle and like, you know, laid the linebacker out on a, you know, crackback or something like that. You was waiting for like that, hey, good job, Tipton or something like that. Fast forward. Or like you make the catch, it's just like, you know, you get reamed out for missing a block and then you make like a 3rd and 15 first down catch with one hand, tiptoe on the sideline, and it's like, good catch, Tipton. Like, next play.
Listen,
yeah.
Narduzzi would not, listen, I love this man. Narduzzi, I know you're going to watch this, so listen up. Like, Doozy would never take it easy on anybody. Like, not a coach, not a player. Everybody got the same treatment. Not kick. Everybody gets the same treatment. That's the one thing I respect about that man more than anything is like, it don't matter who you are. You're getting the same treatment unless you're Kenny Pickett. Then the treatment a little bit changes. But other than that, everybody gets the same exact treatment. And I think the funniest
Kenny
thing.
out like that?
What? Listen, Kenny's my dog, bro. But Kenny was the only way we would get stuff done. Like, if we wanted something done in the locker room, Kenny. Go tell Coach Dudes. And that's the only way we knew we'd get it done.
That's how I get stuff done at work. I use you to talk to Bud.
That's crazy, man. That makes me feel good, though, because that means I'm the star. Because Kenny, man, listen, we had times where, and I'm just going to say this, 'cause this was the funniest thing I ever seen. So during COVID, right, you know how everybody was getting those things shoved up their noses?
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Bro, we got a chance to go to the bowl game, but people are opting out of the bowl game. Kenny comes to the locker room, like, he talks to the captain group, right? He's like, do you think the guys want to go to the bowl game? Every captain looked at each other like, bro, we had this stick shoved up our nose 5 times a week for 14 weeks. You think I want to go another week, another 3 weeks without having that thing shoved in my nose? We all were like, yo, go tell dudes, bro, we're not playing. So Narduzzi comes into the team room. He's like, stand up if you want to play. Bro, there was 2 people who stood up, bro. Everybody else just stood down. There's 105 of us. Listen.
Those 2 were walk-ons, weren't they?
Bro.
They're starting that game.
We don't got a chance, dude.
Hey, they was like, man, we got to get a scholarship, bro. Like,
yeah.
Stand up, bro. Just stand up. Just stand up. And I was just like, bro, like, those memories, though, are the things that you remember most.
Oh,
and you look back now, you're like, yo, like, I miss those days. Like, I honestly, like, I miss being yelled at practice because now I have, like, I'm coaching kids.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, bro, you're so soft, bro. Like,
yeah.
Like, coach would have ate you alive by now, bro. Like, especially the freshmen coming in, bro. You always be like, what lie did they tell you?
Yeah, I know, right?
Like, off rip.
It's crazy. And that's the thing, too, about sports that I miss the most is, like, in the locker room. And, like, the dog days of camp, right? And you're dying, and it's, like, inside run period. And they would call the receivers down, like some of us. And I was always, like, called down, and I had to block Clint Session, who's like
I already know.
bowling ball. It's like, hey, we're running 28 toss crack, and I'm like, I don't want to crack him back.
Hold on. But the crack part, the worst part about crack is the fact that you're 180, he's 280. Physics say you have no chance.
Yeah, right. And at some point, he's gonna realize where the ball is, and he's running downhill through me. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it, but you do it, and then it's like. But those are the things you miss, and then like the locker room and
bro,
and all the stuff like outside the game. Like you still love to compete, and like honestly, like I play in that Southside hoop league, and there's a lot of good players that played in college or overseas in hoops, and it's like that's what I live for now. Like is this Sunday, and there's a referee who has a whistle, and I'm like, it's game day, baby. You know what I mean? I'm like,
if
and
you
I'm
need
getting
an
shots
extra
up during
player,
the week.
if you need an extra player,
Hey,
a
I'll
minute,
let you know.
A minute to win it.
Okay, I might have to have a tryout.
A minute to
No,
it.
but so like that's the things you miss, and then it's like even afterwards, like talking to the guys on my team because we've been playing like the 6 or 7 of us for 7 years now, and it's like just hanging after watching the next game and BSing, like that's the stuff you miss with
The
like
locker room.
your
Do
family.
you golf at all?
Yeah,
You
love
like?
golf.
I do too. I'm trying to get real good at golf.
I'm not that good, bro. I need some work.
Yeah, we'll go. We both probably are terrible right now, but we can be good. I mean,
I love golf.
you out? How many times a summer you think you go out? Like you like a once a week guy or like once a month? Or
No, maybe twice a month, depending on like the year. If there's like some exceptions.
Where's your go-to spot?
My buddies will always text me and be like, "Hey, you want to go to what the heck's the place? Frosty Valley or
Never been out there.
Hickory Heights?" Frosty Valley's a 9-hole course, but it's like honestly, I'll go anywhere.
Right.
You know, it's like
bro, I snapped on a golf course recently
on
at
yourself.
this old dude. He was MFing my grandfather.
What?
Yeah, we went up to it was a 9-hole course, and we went up to the thing because there was like a wait at the first tee box, and I was like, dude, there's nobody on the back half of the course. I was like, do you want us to just tee off on 5? Because it was like 1 through 4 were over here, 5 through 9 are over here, and it's like on one side of the road. And he was like, because we golf there a lot, and he's like, yeah, just go tee off over there and just keep it moving. And I was like, cool. So we do that, but the first group was like coming down the hill. He said, as long as they're not on the green yet, go ahead and like tee off. So they weren't on the green yet. We tee off, bro. They come up flying up next to us like like freaking out because we started on 5, and I was like, bro, I went and talked, and so I like was like chill and like I calmed down the situation. Bro, the other cart comes up, and they start MFing. Bro, I snapped. I like started walking towards this car to like 7-year-old dudes just like
Hulk.
See, yeah, see, that's the one thing about me. I realized like there's certain situations I should not speak.
Yeah.
Just because I know what I'm going to say is going to cause us to all fight.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was just the fact that this person was like disrespecting my grandfather, and I was just like, that just like sat real weird with me. Like I've never seen anybody MF my grandfather,
Yeah.
And I was like, listen here, mother.
Yeah,
and, like
right.
went back and was like,
And I never, like, I get mad when people on a golf course are really, really slow. I don't care if you're good, bad, or not, but it's like if you're taking 7 practice swings
Right.
and then you get a different club and take 7 more practice swings and then you hit the ball on the ground 2 feet, it's like, I don't care if you hit it on 2 feet, like, but just take 1 practice swing. Or go up and hit it, like, because chances are you're not going to stick it to 5 feet ever.
well, that was I think why I got so fired up, because we teed off and we both had great drives, and I'm like a golfer where I'll have like either a great drive and then I'm like a 3-putt, or like I have a terrible drive and then I put I stick it on the green on my side. Like I can never put a full hole together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like on this hole though, I hit a killer drive, chipped it on, and then drained like a 25-foot putt. Dude, this thing was like curving forever. It looked like the Tiger Woods, like,
Yeah.
you know. And I was celebrating. I was like so pumped. So I was like, we were moving quick. We get to the next tee box, and that's when they skipped the hole just to come up and like freak out on us. And that's why I was like,
Yeah, some people it's
we weren't even holding them up.
I teed off one time, and this hill was like sloped down, and me and my cousin were playing, and you couldn't see anybody, and there were a couple trees on the right. So we're like, oh, I guess no one's here. Like, we'll tee off. So I teed off, and it hit the left side of the fairway, and then it just sloped and rolled down. And then all of a sudden we see some guy come out from behind the trees. So we go down, and we're sitting there, and I can't find my ball. And it was like on the right side of the fairway. And he was like, he spoke like broken English, so I couldn't understand fully what he said. And I'm like, where's the ball? And he's like, I threw it. I'm like, I don't care if I almost hit you. I didn't hit you. You know, I didn't see you were even down there, so it wasn't like I was intentionally hitting to you. And he threw my ball. I said, never, ever touch my ball. And then it's like,
Did
but
you
I'm
touch
like,
my drums? I didn't
yeah.
touch your
So it's like, yeah, I try not to. Yeah, let's do it for
Honestly,
sure.
I need more life experiences because we were talking about addictions, bro. I swear, everybody in this planet, look at him, look at him, look at him, addicted to this. This
yeah,
right
yeah,
here,
yeah.
bro. If my phone vibrates, I'm like,
Right? You're like-
it's like, oh man.
Yeah, I
something-
like getting out. I queue up the playlist, put the phone in the cart, and just
See, that's
That's it,
where I'm
dude.
at now, man. I want to go with a bunch of guys and just have like a no phone day. Like back when, like, you know, when you were a kid, bro, you just went outside and played,
gosh.
and your parents said, "Be home before the street lights." No phones. You were out there doing whatever you possibly could within those couple of hours.
Right?
I need one of those adult kid days. You know what I mean?
we'll
Yeah.
schedule it, dude. We'll
Yeah, for
schedule it.
sure.
Well, dude, this was great. I really appreciate you coming in here.
appreciate-
This was really fun. We'll have to have you come back on sometime and
Yeah,
maybe
man.
talk some more pit football or like I know. So you have a podcast, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So you want to give a little plug to that and tell them how to find you?
So it's Brothers in the Berg, BRUDDERS. It's me and my older brother, and like when we were kids, they used to always say, "Hey, brother," like, you know. So we end up starting it. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to do like a collab at some point. You know
Hell
what
yeah.
I mean? Like we've had some good guests. Like we've had Lance Moore on who played with the Saints, and my cousin Bruce on, Landry Jones. We had Tunch before he passed. He was a good one. So yeah, we've had some good guests, and it's just like we talk about everything. We talk about youth sports. We talk about
No, I've listened to a couple episodes, and I'm like, I think I'm gonna be a regular listener now. Like, I'm so
Yeah.
glad I discovered it just in like having you come on this show because like you and your brother have a good back and forth. You
Yeah.
know, you guys, you could tell there's a ton of history there, but
Oh,
between
yeah.
you guys,
Oh,
like
yeah.
just you'll be on one topic and then like, oh yeah, you remember this one time? Like,
What if we just collab to talk about Whippy or football? Like,
Oh.
there's nobody interesting talking about high school sports in the city. Why not us four just go in
Man.
and have a good time?
right? I know. That's I'd love it. And here's the thing too: is like, not to go off track, but it's I said to him, because he's really knowledgeable. He coached. He was the offensive coordinator at St. Francis, PA, and then he coached in high school, and he played at Morehead State in college. So, but he's really knowledgeable, and he breaks down football film for Pro Football Focus, and he just like wants to talk about the Steelers and do this. And I'm like, listen, everybody talks about the Steelers, okay?
Yeah.
Like, I just want to like make fun of him and make jokes. I almost want more of a comedy podcast than I do a sports podcast. But you can't see it because it's not on film. But if I start going on certain topics and we're not talking about the Steelers, especially like in football season, he's like, just like
he's always
nodding
trying to
me
bring
off.
it back to the.
He just wants to get to it, and I just try and stay off track just to keep him like freaking out.
Keep it at bay.
But no, this
little
was
brother.
awesome, man. I loved it, and yeah,
Cool, man.
I'll be happy to
anything
come
else
on.
that you want to plug, or like where can people find you, or do you still travel around and speak?
So I actually just got an email. Yeah, a little bit. I'm trying to actually grow it more, and I'm working on some stuff that I want to do before I like kind of go full-fledged into that. I'm teetering with getting a separate social media page to like focus on that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I'm on Instagram and Twitter. I don't post much just because it's like I don't want to. I still have work and things like that, so it's like I don't want to put my opinion out there and then somebody takes it the wrong way.
Right.
And now I'm out of a job and people hate me because I said I think that Johnny played a bad basketball game or whatever the case is. But so. I don't post too much on there. Some of my kids and stuff, whatnot, but some things.
You should be like the what's the like propaganda like government do, like when they come on with the mask and they're like,
Mr. Vendetta.
yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
Anonymous.
Anonymous or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you should just do that as a high school podcast where you just like talk shit on these kids for having mad games, but you just like fully disguise so he knows it's you.
Like when they have like somebody who's in witness protection for the mob and they're like blacked out and their voice is like,
yeah. Like, I was at the EF game this.
Play terrible.
Trey Tipton doesn't know how to coach for shit.
I ain't even gonna lie, I'd find you.
Well, now my cover's blown. I'll have to think of something else.
Now it's now it's like taken.
You're too
I gotta
close,
come
right?
find
You're at
it.
Lebo. Now I'm too close. I'm always up at the school.
Hey, mark my words. You'll be next to me soon enough. It's coming.
Right? Hey,
coming.
I'll be a booth coach. Those cold games, I don't want to be on the sideline.
Nah, listen. End with this. I know you guys we're all Pittsburgh people, and I hate when people say because we're from Pittsburgh we should love the cold. I don't know who created that, and I don't know who believes that, but I hate cold games. Like your hands hurt.
Yeah.
And then if you're playing in snow, because you might in Pittsburgh, you never know depending on the weather's being bipolar that day. It could rain, snow, or get hot all on the same day. So you don't know.
Yeah.
Hate
Facts.
cold games.
Hate it.
But that's my finisher. That's
Before we go, I almost forgot. We do a segment on the show. It's called the uniform segment. Okay. So I asked my guests to design a uniform from the ground up. So like basically pants, jersey, helmet. What would you like to see your favorite team? Well, you could pick Steelers. You could pick the Seton LaSalle. You could pick Pitt. Whatever you think. You know what actually maybe would be dope would be like to redesign the era of uniforms you had in like colorway or whatever you had.
So we were like navy blue and gold back then, right? We did one game of the old blue and yellow, right?
Yeah,
my junior year, we had a throwback game.
Really?
And I still have the jersey. So we were number 9 in the country my freshman year. Played at Toledo. And this was Bruce's like coming out party.
Yeah.
And we wore blue pants and white jerseys, and we lost, and we never wore blue pants again after that. But I always wish that we would have had like an all white uni back then,
All white. So
like white pants, like
Yeah.
and just like ours were either Panthers or Pittsburgh across the chest. It wasn't like the script Pitt or anything.
Yeah, you used to have like the crazy font numbers, right? Like with before they did the Wannstedt rebranding where they cleaned it up and whatever. You guys had the like
So all white unis would have been nice.
white helmet too.
Yeah, probably would have had the gone white helmet with because ours were just like the gold.
Right. Yeah, we'll knock it
white with the spats.
I like it.
I had to go spats because I'm, you know what I mean? I'm short and I'm stocky. So it's like the spats made me look a little bit taller,
Dude,
look a
spats
little
back
bit
then were the
faster.
shit, dude. You used to wear like a pound of like tape on your foot if you couldn't
didn't
get the
spat-
sleeves and.
If you
Oh,
didn't
I know,
spat
right?
Back then you weren't like that. Shout out to Michael Vick because he really started that for me anyway. I'm just keeping it real. Michael Vick had me over there like I gotta spat my cleats.
But I played in an era when West Mifflin still had like AstroTurf, so I wore Vicks to actually play in the game because they were turf shoes. So like I'm that old. I played on turf fields.
I have Vicks
like
too though.
AstroTurfs.
I have Vicks too.
You do?
And I played on Hampton had AstroTurf. So
Yeah.
that stuff was like literally playing on carpet.
Yep.
And now people wear turf tape to look good. We wore turf tape because we needed it.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. Man,
Well, cool.
I appreciate it.
This has been great, dude. Thank you for coming on. No
problem.
I really appreciate you. This has been fun. We got to get you a painting.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure,
maybe we'll
right?
have you back on when the painting's done.
Yeah. Oh, unvailing.
Sounds
Love
good,
it.
man.
My man, appreciate it.
you. Yeah.